But that's kind of where that fight would go next if the top person wanted to throw some punches.
Yeah, another thing I'll mention is, so every day when I get up, I get ready to go out into the world. As I mentioned earlier, I carry a gun for personal protection. I carry a knife for personal protection. I carry pepper spray for personal protection. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of gear. And sometimes it's inconvenient to carry all that stuff. Idris here, he's got nothing. I mean, he's wearing flip-flops. There's no special gear that he needs to defend himself here. It's just himself. It's himself and the expertise he's developed over, I'm sure, many years of training.
I have a question about, you just told us that you carry a firearm, a knife, you carry it all.
Right.
And then Chucks, aren't you supposed to not tell the world that you carry a firearm for personal protection?
You know, I'm such a public figure that it's been known forever. So there's no point me not talking about it.
Got it. I guess that makes sense. People would expect that from you. Now I have a question. In terms of Idris being a black belt, do you have to give a disclaimer? This whole idea of registering your body, like you're a lethal weapon if you're a black belt. This is something that people always ask me about. And I'm always like, listen, I might be a lethal weapon, but I'm not going to hurt the person in 9 out of 9 cases. Like, it's very rare that I'm going to use excessive force and hurt them. So I don't feel the need to give this disclaimer. Hey, just so you know, I'm a black belt. Don't come any closer. Are these things is there any truth to these?
No, there isn't. You're not. First of all, you're not required to give any kind of verbal warning at all. That's not a requirement for lawful self-defense. I would actually, I think there's disadvantages, frankly, to telling someone else that you're a black belt, because that may induce them to escalate their own use of force. Certainly, if I were being unlawfully attacked by someone, they were shoving me, for example, I might feel, well, it's not yet appropriate for me to go to the gun to defend myself. But if they were closing on me and I knew they were a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm going to the gun because I can't defend myself against that person without the use of a defensive weapon.
So same goes for registering. I don't have to go register myself with the city. No. So I don't know where people started saying that.
It's ridiculous. There's absolutely no such requirement.
Maybe it's a Hollywood thing.
Now I will say, sometimes people ask me, hey, if I develop a high skill in martial arts, can that be used against me in court? And the answer is, well, yes, in the sense of what do we mean by used against me in court? What we really mean is, can a prosecutor talk about that in front of a jury to try to make you look bad, to try to make your decisions look excessive? The answer is, yeah, you're going to be judged by the level of expertise you actually have. If you have a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you're going to be judged differently than someone who has no particular fighting abilities. If Idrid here had decided, hey, I've got this guy in this position, but I'm just going to armbar him and break his elbow because I feel like it. Well, maybe someone might break another person's elbow in panicked self-defense. They don't really know what they're doing, and they just suddenly find they have the opportunity and did it. Clearly, that would not be necessary here. So he would be judged as someone who possesses the skills of a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and expected to conduct himself in accordance with how a reasonable black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would defend themselves.
They would probably ask the question, could you have simply controlled him? Did you need to armbar him?
Was it actually necessary?
Yeah, and I can tell you this, he does not need to armbar the same way I wouldn't, the same way there are thousands of black belts, and not even black belts. You don't have to be a black belt to apply this level of control on someone like this. This man he's moving a little bit. He's not fighting for his life to escape. And that's something that people need to know, is that how much jiu-jitsu is necessary to keep yourself safe. It's not 9 years or how much jiu-jitsu you need to control somebody until help arrives. Same thing. You can learn this in 6 months, a year, 2 years, which is very refreshing, because if it takes 9 years, right, to reach a level of proficiency in jiu-jitsu to defend yourself, no one's going to want to learn jiu-jitsu.
No, that's right.
If you can learn it in 8 months, sign me up.
In fact, that's why so many people instead they go for things like a concealed carry permit, because you can take a 1-day class, get that concealed carry permit, and the law says you can walk around in public with a gun under your jacket now. And I can tell you, I've taught hundreds of concealed carry permit classes because I've been a firearms instructor before. 1-day class, you're not competent to shoot that gun. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it. I mean, I believe there's a Second Amendment right to have guns to defend yourself. But don't fool yourself and think that you have any particular expertise in firing a gun with a 1-day class. It's ridiculous. Any more than you could play the piano or a guitar or ride a motorcycle competently, or anything that requires any degree of skill with 1 day of training. That's not how that works.
But 8 months of firearm training.
Get pretty darn good.
You spread 8 months out, you do a month or you do like a weekend class, every month for 8 months, let's say. And that goes back to jiu-jitsu. So you do jiu-jitsu twice a week, 3 times a week for 8 months. Very little resistance, a very safe environment. A lot can be learned.
Yeah, we always say in shooting instruction for high-level competitors that what really matters more is not really the intensity of your training, but the frequency of your training. So high-intensity training, say you did it one weekend, but all you did for 4 to 8 hours was shoot, but you only did it once every couple months, you'll never develop real expertise there. But if you even just dry fire a pistol without ammunition, just practice, go through the motions for 15, 20 minutes a day in the morning before you go to work, you will get darn good at manipulating and handling that firearm. But you have to do it on a regular, low-intensity basis to really hardwire the skills into your brain to make that those skills subconsciously competent in your mind. So you don't have to think about going through the steps.
Smooth. You want to be smooth.
Okay, so this next video I want to share is a bad outcome.